Aries, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot. My name is Carol, and this is a reading for May 8th to the 14th, and I need to tell you something. I just did your reading. It was a beautiful reading, and I forgot to turn the camera on. So I thought, well, I have two choices. I can take it, reshuffle, and do a new one. But I thought, no, this was a beautiful reading for Aries, and you need to hear it. I think the most difficult part of a tarot reader is when they have to redo it because they forgot to turn the channel on, the camera on. I have this beautiful little gizmo, whatever you want to call it, that I can turn it on and off, and I forgot to put it on. So I apologize, but it's a beautiful reading, so I'm going to take it from the top, and we're going to get going. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do the Hermit's Lantern reading, and it really is a reading where we're going to take a deep dive into your shadow. So we're going to be doing some shadow work, and if you're unfamiliar with the term shadow or shadow work, I've left a video for you in the description box below. It's one that I did myself. I've been on my own healing journey for, well, I'm talking intensive healing shadow work journey for 7 years, healing my own complex trauma. So digging deep, taking a deep dive into, you know, all my unhealed parts of myself. And so what came out of, you know, my own healing, and I'm still continuing to heal, is becoming a tarot reader. And so you're going to hear me talk about parts, and because I do parts therapy. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to look at, first of all, the Hermit card, because this is the Hermit's Lantern reading, and the Hermit has a lantern here for a reason. This is the card that comes up in the Major Arcana, that comes up and it says, you know, it's time for you to take your focus off of your outer world, and it's time for you to go inwards. It's time for you to do some inner work, because there's just too many distractions out there for us. We humans get easily distracted, especially when it's time to do some healing. Well, we usually, if something's coming up for us, and we all know what's coming up in our system, we'll push it down, right? We'll distract ourselves. We'll, you know, take out some of our addictions, like our phone scrolling or eating or drinking or, you know, smoking some weed, because, you know, sometimes life's tough and we don't want to deal with these emotions. And so the Hermit says it's time to get on that healing journey. If you haven't been on it for a while, if you got off it and maybe you're on it, it's time to take a deep dive into what's coming up in your shadow. So we're going to look at what's coming up. I already know. I feel so bad. I was like, oh, this is such a good reading. And then I looked at my screen and I went, oh my God, I don't see that red square. And I went, oh, it's okay. I'm going to do it. Again, so we're going to look at what's coming up from your shadow, Aries. And then in the second spot, we're going to look at what is its origin, right? Where does it come from? And then in the third spot, we're going to look at how is it showing up in your life right now? How is it impacting your daily life? And then we're going to look at how you can heal it. And I'm going to give you some advice, what the tarot says. And then I'm going to give you my own advice. I'm going to recommend you some good videos at the end that I've done on my other channel called Carol Cares, which is for your mental health. And there's some good videos I've done. I won't tell you yet because it's part of the reading, which ones I'm going to link at the end. And then I'll also link my reading from May. So let's get started here at the beginning. You have the Five of Cups energy that comes up. I want to show you, first of all, the 5 cards that I pulled for you, because it's only fair, because I would have done that had I not turned on the camera. Had I remembered to turn the camera. So the first card that comes up for what's coming up for your shadow is the 5 of Cups in reverse. All right, and that is clarified by the King of Wands and the Hermit. All right, so it's interesting. You got the Hermit here that came out. And what's its origin? Well, you got the 4 of Pentacles, and the 5 of Wands clarifies it. The 5 of Swords in reverse, and you got the Chariot card in reverse. All right, so these the third position here, which is how is it showing up in my daily life. You got the Empress. Once again, these were pre-shuffled, and I read the reading, and the camera didn't come on, if you're wondering if you're out there. Seven of Swords for clarifier, and the Empress as the clarifier again. So the Empress came up twice here in this area, which really tells me that there's a huge emphasis on the Empress, and we're going to talk about what she means because it's important for you, especially for this reading. The Wheel of Fortune is how you can heal it. And the two cards that came out to clarify that were the Page of Swords and the Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles. I was just going to call it the Pentacles card. Well, there's a few of them. And in the middle is, what's the outcome for you? Well, how will your life change once you do this work? Once you really get at what's coming up right in this reading, how is your life going to change? Well, you have the Emperor in reverse. Actually, I didn't get to this part in the last reading, so that tells me I forgot it. There you go. This is new to me then. The Eight of Wands in reverse. I forgot it in another reading, but I remembered reading the last minute. The Nine of Swords in reverse. And the Judgment card in reverse. So you ended up getting 3 cards there. Everything's in reverse here. Okay, it's all going to turn around. So let's get started, Aries. So the Five of Cups for you comes up. And let's look at this cup here. It's this card. It's in reverse. The Five of Cups is, and this is what's coming up from your shadow. This is what's coming up, and you're realizing that, you know, you're feeling this, like you're feeling this situation right here. And the Five of Cups is when you are so focused on those 3 cups right there that are spilled, and you can't take your focus off of it. And cups are about emotions, so that means you're really stuck on this emotion. And you can see her head like this. And I can tell you for myself, when I cover my head, when I am grieving, when I'm working through something and I'm covering my head, I always know that it's shame that I'm working with. Sometimes I don't know shame. I will mix it up with grief sometimes because they both don't feel good. But with shame, I cover my face because it's a feeling of being embarrassed, feeling unworthy, feeling like you just don't deserve anything. And so that's where I'm seeing you sitting right now. You're sitting with it in a real state of hopelessness, depression, just not feeling good in your body. Sometimes we just want to, if it's shame, you know, shame can be like really feel creepy in our body where you just want to take it and rip it out of your body because it feels so shitty. And I'm wondering if it's in reverse here. So it tells me, I'm going to say that maybe it's been something that you've been sitting in for a while, because when we get in that state of hopelessness here, and I call it futility, just when you just don't want to bother going on, when you've had enough, you've fed up, and why bother? Nothing's going to change. Why bother? And you can be sitting in that for a long time, you know, weeks, months, years. Some people sit in depression for that long. Some of you could be on medication, taking medication for it. It's just something that, and some people think that, well, I have depression and this is a diagnosis and I can't get out of it. But I'm here to tell you that you can. I have depression. I've have bouts of it. It still comes up for me, and I know how to deal with it when it comes up. And that was me, for sure, when I started my own journey of healing. And so this is where you're sitting right now. And the hardest part about it is that you think you can't get out of it, and you don't see a way out. And so why would you want to work on it? Why do you want to heal this? Why do you want to feel it when you don't have the motivation to deal with it anymore? And you have the King of Wands behind it. And the King of Wands comes in, is the king in all my deck, in all my suits, is the masculine part of us. It's our ego. And the king does not want to feel. The king does not want to feel emotions. They think they're dangerous. And so the king has its wand here. Wands is about movement. King does not want you to move. It wants status quo. It wants you to stay exactly where you are. Your ego wants you to stay exactly where you are. Does not want to feel these emotions. Doesn't want to rock the boat. King's very scared. Our ego is very, very scared of emotions. Big fear here to feel these emotions, because the ego thinks that our emotions, if we feel them, they're going to eat us alive. And behind that is the hermit. And the hermit card. And the hermit says, you know, that hermit kind of wants you to shine a light on what's going on here. And I'm going to tell you what's going on before we get to the next part, what the origin is. One of the lines that my own life coach gave me, and I still have her, what she told me about depression, that feeling of hopelessness, and I have to remember it every single time it comes out, is that, and it was a hard one to accept, and when I'm sitting in that hopelessness, believe me, I tried to tell it to myself, but it just doesn't. A lot of times it doesn't seem to work because hopelessness is so hard. But I know it now because I've been through this so many times, that the hopelessness that you feel right now, that state that you're in right now of feeling like this about yourself, it's not about now. If you are an adult and you are sitting with this, you have to know that it's not about now. And this is how the healing journey works. This is about a time that we're going to see right now coming up, the origin. It was about a time when you were younger, when you felt hopeless and you had no way out. There was no way out. And when we're children and when things happen to us, when trauma happens to us, when hurtful events happen to us, there was no way out. We were a child. And so this is coming up for you, this depression that you're sitting in, this hopelessness. It's here for you to heal. Finally, you have to heal what's coming up. That situation that you were in when you were younger, that original situation, you have to get to it. That's what inner work is. You know, this is what this hermit is about. You have to go digging. You need to go digging deep. You've got to go inwards to find out what this situation is that your ego has been blocking you from feeling. There's something here. And you don't want to face it. Or maybe you know it, because I know what's coming up, and I think you might know it. But it's coming up for you again, you know, to deal with. And that's what happens in our healing journey, where these patterns show up. And it's like, I've been through this before. Why do I have to do this again? Well, a lot of times it's because A, you haven't dealt with it before. Or if you have, you need to go deeper. You know, we spiral into a deeper level each time. You know, why is my loneliness coming up? Well, because you need to deal with it. Well, I've already dealt with it. Well, here's a deeper level of it. I can't tell you how many times I've dealt with loneliness over and over and over again. And I know we're going deeper this time. We're going deeper. Same thing here. Let's go a little bit deeper here. And we're going to deal with this again, this hopelessness that you're sitting with, this shame, this unworthiness. Because what's the origin of it? The origin of it is the Four of Pentacles. And this is a miser card. He's hiding. He's hiding behind his pentacle. He's holding on to it. Almost like he's think of it, somebody that's just a miser that hoards. Somebody that hoards. Well, somebody that hoards is really afraid. And so they're afraid of losing these things. People that have a lot of money, like a lot of money, right? If we think of, we know who we just have to go on social media and all these Hollywood stars and those, they hoard their money. They're money collectors, right? They have their biggest fear is that they're not going to have enough money. They're going to lose all their money, so they keep collecting it. And this is like the same kind of thing for you and you know, it could be money, but it's somebody that's just afraid afraid and they're holding on. It's an attachment card, right? So when you were younger, you were very much probably a child that was very afraid, because we'll see these cards that come out here, like just very much a card that was very, a hyper vigilant child on the lookout for somebody maybe that was going to hurt them. Very much a scared kind of child, because I see here next card is the Five of Wands, and that's a conflict of ego. It's a conflict where you start comparing yourself and judging yourself by other people, and that's where you make your impression of yourself, by looking at other people. You only know yourself by other people around you. That person's bigger than me, that person's stronger than me, that person's prettier than me, and you judge yourself from everybody around you. So that kind of tells me that, again, like that hypervigilance kind of thing where you're watching people. The Five of Swords comes in, and this is a card that is in an upright position. The Five of Swords talks about, you have this individual right here with these swords, and he's just won this battle. The Five is about a conflict and change in our life, and so this conflict is he's walking away. These are mental energies. Swords are mental energies. Well, you have this, so he's won something, and you have this individual back here, the small one right here. That's the one that I focus on. He's the one that's hiding his face. We talked about at the beginning about you hiding your face here, and so we're dealing with shame. I call this card right here my bullying card. This is my bullying card. I can't remember if it was upright or not, but so I'm seeing in your shadow what the origin of this shame that's causing you to feel, hopeless, piece of crap, unworthy, is caused by bullying when you were younger. And I'm not sure where that came from, but when we were bullied when we were younger, and it's coming up because obviously it's a significant issue in your life, because when we were bullied when we were younger, we're also going to start to see it as an adult. We either see other people bullying us in the workplace, our friends, our partner, or we can bully other people. We can go back and forth. And the Chariot card behind it says, this is a card in an upright position where you have this charioteer that's controlling these two sphinxes here. And the key word here is controlling. He's controlling it with his mind. He's controlling these sphinxes with his mind, and he's so petrified that if one of these goes to the side, it's going to come off the track. Something's going to happen here. And it's all about, this control, this mind control. And I think of you back here, this mind control, right? You trying to control, as a kid, your circumstances. You're trying to prevent this bullying from happening. And so we were very hyper vigilant, watching other people, but you were bullied. And so this bullying incident could be a first one. It could be an only incident. It could be many incidents. You have to go back. It's saying it's time now. This is the origin of it. And so, well, let's talk about this third part here, because it's saying, well, how is it showing up? How is it showing up in your... Because when something comes up in our shadow, there's always an origin to it, because it needs to be healed. And it's something that's coming up from our childhood, and it needs to be healed, because when you were a child, you couldn't heal it. You had no way out. There was no way out. And what you're feeling right now, this depression, this shame, this shit that you're sitting in, you're thinking that you're stuck in this position now, but it's about when you were in that child being bullied. And so how's it showing up in your daily life, first of all? Well, the Empress card comes out. And the Empress card, and she comes out twice, so I'm going to talk about her for sure here. At length a little bit, just because it definitely needs to be talked about. The Empress is the third card in the deck, in the major arcana, and which are the universal big forces in our life, right? So we all have this feminine energy force and this masculine energy in the universe. It has nothing to do with gender, it just is. And we live in a real patriarchal society, and we all pretty much are led by our masculine side of us, our ego. Well, this is the side that's been repressed for a long time, and she's the side that is all about, and in the major arcana, it's split, that feminine side is split into two between her and the High Priestess number 2. And so the number 3 card, this one that's come up for you twice, talks about our emotions, talks about living from our body, not our head, right? Not controlling things with this Chariot card from our head, from our mental thoughts and what people told us about ourselves, but getting out of that head, because you're sitting in your head right here. Well, what this reading is telling me, that it wants you desperately to get back in your body. And that's how it's showing up in your daily life, because you're not in your body. And so you have all these emotions here that need to be felt, and it's affecting your life and all your relationships that have to do with emotions, because your emotions are all over the place. You have this big sense of shame that you are unworthy, and it's showing up in your relationships. And in particular, the 7 of Swords card in between the 2 Empress cards that we have. The 7 of Swords speaks about these mental thoughts here. It talks about, this is called the Thief card. He has walked away. He's stolen these mental thoughts, these swords from this camp, and he thinks he's, it's all great, look what I've stolen. And he's running away with, he's holding them by the point of the sword. Very dangerous. And so these mental thoughts that you have are very dangerous, very, very dangerous, because they're affecting all your relationships, your emotions. They're affecting your emotions. And I think because it's surrounded by the 2 Empress cards here, it's like you're not in your body, but you're living very much in your head with all these emotions around you, really out of control. Really, I'm surprised they didn't come up in a ungrounded, being very ungrounded, but definitely, I can see your emotions all over the place. And there is really a need for you to learn how to ground yourself so that you can get in touch with who you are, to learn how to ground yourself and get in touch with that shame, because right now these mental thoughts are running the show. They're running the show. And so not finally, but how can you heal this? Well, the Wheel of Fortune is here. Is it how? Yes, how you can heal this. Here's the Weaver. She weaves the Wheel of Fortune. She puts these ribbons, she makes it run. Well, she doesn't make it, but she just adds to it. And she holds it there, and she makes sure the ribbons don't fall off, but it doesn't stop spinning. It keeps going. It never stops. And she can't control it. She can only hold it and fix it a little bit. And she's the weaver. She if the ribbons are falling off, she can maybe help it a little bit, but it's going to keep turning. She doesn't have control over it. Here's the thing. There's a couple things about control, because the word control is coming out here. As a child, you couldn't control this bullying. You couldn't control those emotions. You couldn't control when people called you a crybaby because you were beat up. You couldn't control your anger. You couldn't use your anger because you were told you weren't allowed to use your anger. And so you have these bottled up emotions of anger. You have these bottled up emotions of fear and grief. I mean, you want to cry. All little kids wanted to cry. And this is about how you can, it's about, you know what, you can't control this anymore. You can't control this. I know you've been trying to control it. You've been trying to control this. Your ego has been blocking you and trying to control this depression and this futility, but you need to let go of the control of this and allow this hopelessness and allow these emotions to come through now, to feel them, to let yourself, to give in to these emotions that want to come through, these emotions of shame that need to come through. And you have to grieve that. You have to grieve the time that you were bullied. And the swords, the Page of Swords sits right behind it. And that's our inner child. All my pages, my 4 pages in the deck, they're my inner children, your inner child. There's an inner child of you that knows who you are, that knows who you were when you were bullied, that knows your true authentic self, that knows you're not unworthy, that knows you're not full of shame, and knows your worth. The sword is about authenticity, about your truth. And so there's a part of you, that younger child of yours, needs to heal. You need to get in touch with that inner child of yours that is holding that shame, that is holding those feelings of hopelessness. They're the ones that are, keeping you stuck because they want to be heard. They want you to form a relationship with them, right? They want you to go inwards here and find them. Find those younger children of yours that are holding these terrible feelings. And the 7 of Pentacles comes right behind it. And so how can you heal this? You've been spending all your life, all your time, building up these pentacles, building up, committing yourself all this time to this. All this time of being stuck in this position of depression and hopelessness, and it comes up and it keeps coming up and it goes away and it comes up and it goes, and you're just kind of feeling, is this it? You're feeling like, why try? There's nothing left. Is this everything? He's holding all these pentacles and he looks at it and he goes, is this it? Is this everything? Well, no, it's not everything. It's not everything. And it's time for you to say, well, what is the other side to this? And it's going to take, a little bit at a time, but you're going to find out what the other side is to this. And so how is this going to change your life? Once you start working on your bullying, your shame, I have some videos on my other channel called Carol Cares. I'll leave you with the playlist on bullying at the end. And I also have shame. A lot of good videos on shame as well. There's a playlist on shame on that channel. So I'll leave you with the bullying to start off with. And then I'll leave you with a video that I did for you in May, the beginning of May. But I want to look at right now before we go, how will your life change? What will the outcome be for you right now? And this is the new part for me because this is the part that I didn't do. I forgot about it. So how will it change? Well, we have the Emperor card. The Emperor card is in an upright position. The Emperor, I call Mr. Emperor because, he's very much, look at him, he's ready to go. He's got his city that he rules behind him. He's the ruler. He's the one that sets out all the rules. And if you go out of that box, he's going to make sure that he puts you back in, right? And he's so old. He's so old that he's becoming part of his chair. He's been sitting there for a long time. And so the Emperor represents all these rules that society places on us. And he comes in reverse here because there's a real resistance on your part, I think, to really look at some of these rules that you've been told. you know, things like, and it's society's rules, you know, things like it's not a, you know, emotions, just, you know, forget about your emotions. They're not going to get you anywhere. This journey, this healing journey is stupid, or things that you were told when you were younger that you continue to believe, in particular, you know, why you're unworthy. You know, there's why bother. Especially in regards to if you're sitting in depression and you've been just believing a lot of things about your own state. So let's say you believe that you're sitting with depression and you're, well, you believe that, and if you can go online and find this out, but you know, there's all these people that want to keep you in depression, that want to say, well, here's your depression, you've been diagnosed with this, and so you got it for life. It's like, you know, a badge you put on. No, it's a badge you take off, and you're going to fight to take it off and keep it off, because this is something that society wants you to believe, that you have this, and so you've been born with it. And so you're stuck with it. And that's not true. And so this is why the Emperor card comes out. It's time. There's a real, I think, resistance here for you to believing that, and a denial here. So you got to turn it around. And because the Eight of Wands comes in, and that's in reverse. And the Eight of Wands comes out where the Wands is all about movement. And so, you know, it's in reverse here. And I think there is a real sense here that, like, wands want to go, wands want to be creative, they're fiery, they're lots of energy, and it's in reverse again. So that tells me that, you know, you are in a real stuck period. You can heal this. These wands will turn around again. I know you're stuck right here. These wands are stuck, but wands are not meant to be stuck. Just like emotions are not meant to be stuck in us. And so things are going to start to turn around for you. This is going to take time. You know, it's going to take some time, but, and all these mental thoughts that you have in your head that have been running your life, keeping you up at night, it's probably affecting your sleep for sure. And it's going to turn upright. Like these things, these are all in reverse here, because this whole thing is going to start to turn, because this whole row here is in denial. Judgment card. The Judgment card speaks about these people coming out of their grave as if they've been dead for so long, and there's this horn, this angel is calling them upwards to be reborn again. And this is what's going to happen to you. It's amazing once you start pulling yourself out and realizing that this shame and this hopelessness, this depression that you're sitting in is not about now, and you start to heal that younger part of you that carries all your shame, that carries all your unworthiness. This little part of you, this little page, this inner child right here that knows your truth. Your truth is going to come back to you. All of that is going to turn around. It's absolutely amazing. And it can change like this. But it's you that has to put the work into it. That's the tough part, especially when you're sitting in this depression and this unworthiness. And so, Aries, I'm going to leave you with those videos at the end on bullying. You can also look on my channel for shame on Carol Cares, and the video on May. And I want you to have compassion for yourself, Aries, for what you're working through. And I'm so glad that I was able to do this reading for you for a second time. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.